Hi everyone, this is part 2 of the tutorial of the Winter Wonderland Mini Album, which is a Country Craft Creations design team project. There is a part 1, which I'll put a link in the description box, and that also includes the walkthrough. There is a separate video for the cover, which I will also put in the description box. So let's get started with the front of page 2. All right, moving on to page 2F, the front of page 2. You will need one piece of cardstock 4.5 by 4 3/4. You will need 4.5 by 6. You will need one that's 5.5 by 8 and one that's 6.25 by 8. So let us grab our handy dandy scoreboard. The 4.5 by 6, on all of them you're going to score it 1/2 inch on the short side. So put the 6-inch side at the top and score it 1/2 inch. Whoops. The 4.5 by 4 3/4, the 4 3/4 inch side is at the top. Score it 1/2. And with the 5.5 by 8 and 6.25 by 8, the 8-inch side will be against the score side, so you're going to put the shorter side at the top, score at 1/2 inch. And we are of course going to miter the corners and fold and burnish. So I will try to get that done quickly so you don't get bored watching me do this. All right, let us grab the book and start with 6.25 by 8. Yes, I did not fold and burnish like I said I was going to, so I'll have to do that on each one. All right, so that one, the score line, the scored tab, I guess the score line, will go to the left-hand side of that page. And put it on the page again, not on the hinge. And I just try to make sure the top and bottom are straight. Then open that up. And the 5.5 by 8, I'm going to rotate it so the score line is on the right side. Add my glue. Oh gosh, I'm so messy with it today, aren't I? I can't glue a straight line. And that is going to go to the right hand side of the page. And we're going to open that up. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not in full. And then what we're going to do with these is each side's going to get 2, and they're going to overlap. So I'm going to put the one on the left-hand side bottom first and have it just a 32nd of an inch away from the fold of the other one. And open that up and add the next one. So it'll be at the top, and keep it just a smidgen away from this fold of the bottom one. And then do the same for the right hand side. I think I will do the top one first. And then open that one up and do the bottom one. Just add a little bit of interest to it. I mean, you could do it in whichever order you like. If I had thought this through, I would have made the page 6.5, so I could put 6-inch, so I could get 6-inch photos on here, but alas, I did not. So on this, I have this other 4.5 by 4 3/4 inch piece, and I'm making it that size so I can put the 4 by 4 cut aparts on here. Wait, is this one too big? Did I cut it? I did 4.5 by 4 3/4. I take it back. This is going to be 4 1/4, so it matches that. Don't know why I didn't think of that ahead of time. And anyhow, you're going to put glue on the tab, and that's going to go on the left-hand side of the book, opposite this one. I sort of wanted that to match this page. So, and again, put a magnet here and on here. I usually go through and put all my papers on, and then go through and put my magnets on the book if you want. You don't even have to have a magnet if you don't want. But if you do, then go through when it's all done. All right, that is 2F. We are going to move on to the back of page 2 next. All right, now we're going to work on the back of page 2. So for that, you will need one piece of cardstock, 6.5 by 8. Another piece that's 7 by 4 3/4, and then two pieces that are 6.5 by 4 1/4. So I'm going to grab my scoreboard and my handy dandy stylus, and incidentally I use this old Cricut one, but really anything would work. Alright, so let's start with the large piece. We're just going to put the short side at the top, the 6.5 side at the top, and score at 1/2 inch. The two flaps will score each one with the long side at the top at 1/2 inch. And then the 7 by 4 3/4 is going to be a pocket, so you're going to score with the long side at the top at the short side, 1/2 inch. Rotate, score, rotate, score. So you'll end up having the 1/2 inch tabs on the two short sides and one long side. And now I am going to miter the corners. That helps reduce bulk, makes a pocket lie flat, and helps sort of hide the other tabs when you're putting paper in. So I'm just going to miter the corners and move that out of the way. I will grab a bone folder and burnish. So I usually fold into the bump, so it's raised here. I fold into that, but honestly, if you use the artisan cardstock from Country Craft Creations, it doesn't matter. If you use less expensive cardstock, it could, because some cheaper cardstock might crack. Oh, I already did this side. So page 2B and 3F, the back of page 2 and the front of page 3 are the same. So what we're going to have is a flap, a large page flap, and then a small flap, and a pocket. So I decided to do that the same on 2B. So first what you will do is adhere the large page flap. So this will go to the left side of the page. And make sure the bottom is straight with it. And then burnish. Alright, and now we'll add the pocket. Alright, so this is the way you really should do a pocket. Just put glue on the bottom tab and put that down at the bottom. Make sure that this will close, and it does. Okay, and then grab a piece of tape and put that down on top of there. So now when you're putting something in the pocket, it just doesn't get hung up on the tab. And then we'll glue the rest of it down. And then we'll take these other flaps and glue them on top of the pocket, one coming from the right side and one coming from the left side. And I like these because there are a good amount of cut-aparts, of course, in this Cartabella collection. And you could either use this with the 4x4 cut-aparts or the 4x6 cut-aparts. And of course plain paper too. You want to balance that so there's not too much of a pattern thing going on. But yeah, I sort of like that idea. Alright, so this will go like that, that'll go like that, and that'll close. And you can put, actually, if this, the left one closes first, then the right one, and you could put a magnet on there. Alright, so that is it for the front, I'm sorry, back of page 2, front of page 3. And now let's do 3B. Alright, 3B is going to involve cutting a square in a piece. Oh, I guess, let me show you what you'll need for that first. So you will need 2 pieces that are 5.5 by 8. One piece that's 3.5 by 6. One piece that's 4 by 5. All right, I will grab mine and show you where I'm going to score. So the 5.5 by 8, you will score both with the short side at the top on the long side. This one, you're going to score 1/2 inch on the long side, so put the short side at the top, and then you're going to rotate, and I'm rotating it this way just because I want the writing to be right side up, and score 1 inch on the short side, so 1 inch with the long side at the top. What am I doing in this one? On this one, we are going to go straight down to that 1 inch score line, and then we're going to miter up to the cut and miter here. So that's what that one will look like. And you know, even to, I'm going to add my little corner rounder to that 1 inch tab. I guess I have to fold this to do that. And that one didn't come out that good, so I'm going to do it again. Better. It's not perfect, but it's better. And I'll miter this as well. little cuts out. All right, so let us grab, I'm going to fold and add glue. So one of these bigger pieces will go on the left side. And one will go on the right side. And of course, don't forget, you're going to put it on the base page. Don't put it on the hinge. So there's still 1/8 of an inch showing there. All right, so we've got that. Now we'll open this up. Okay, and you will need a piece 4.5 by 5 1/4. So the 4.5 by 5 1/4 put with the 4.5 inch side at the top, score at 1/2 inch and at 3/4, and score at 3 3/4 and 4. Rotate. So the long side is at the top and score at 1/2 and 3/4. And so we are going to miter the top up to the second score line, and the bottom I'm going to just cut across the diagonal to that first score line, and then what am I trying to do? I want to fold this so it'll fold. Forget the cutting across the diagonal. Just miter to the inside score line. Don't know what I was thinking. Just trying to do something fancy. In my mind, it made sense. Okay. And then you go ahead and grab a circle, an oval, a square, snowflakes, whatever you want, and cut a hole there. You could also use your X-Acto or your scoreboard to cut a hole. So I'm going to put this down to the bottom, so there's about 3/8 of an inch from the top score line to the bottom of my die. That's the word I was looking for. I'm going to tape that down, run it through my I'll run that through my big kick, not a big shot, big kick. And we will that. All right, so we've got that. All right, now I'm going to fold and burnish on my score lines. All right, so this is the inside. So now in my stash, I had a piece of acetate. Let me get a piece of dark paper that had snowflakes on it. I was going to use plain acetate, but I remembered I had this, so I'm going to use it. But if you don't have snowflakes, use your use whatever you have. I am going to. I put 1/4 inch dimensional adhesive on the edges of a piece that measures, because I cut two the same size, 2 7/8 by 4 1/4. I am going to glue this down. Now the dimensional adhesive is on the top. I'm going to glue it down and center it the best I can. So to do that, I'm going to add just a little bit of glue. So I found that this art glitter glue does work for acetate. You don't need very much. I'm going to put that down and center it. I'm going to put it down towards the bottom. All right, make sure you don't go over those score lines. All right, now I'm going to add some things I had in my stash. I don't normally make shakers. I just don't. I really should, because I have some pretty things to put in it. All right, I have a couple of these snowflakes that are as thick as a button. I'm going to put 3 of those in. I have some of this silver glittery stuff. You know what, before I do that, I am going to take my little powdery thing. What do you call it? I guess I could use this that I use for my stamping. I know it's been beat up, but just lightly put that on to help reduce static cling. Don't want to put too much on because it gets powdery, but I just put a little bit on. All right, and I'll add just a little bit of these. I'm making a snowflake mix. I have some of those. I'll add more of those. These are iridescent snowflakes. I have no idea where I got them from, because when I cleaned out all of my, and here's some silver snowflakes. When I cleaned out my storage room to move into my RV, to reduce space, I took it out of whatever jars or boxes or whatever it was in and put it in baggies, because that stores a little bit easier. And then I put all the sparklies in this one bag, and this goes into a plastic container that is Christmas. All right, let's get you out of here. You don't belong there. You go inside. All right, I'm going to take off the backing tape on the adhesive. And I am going to take, whoops, don't you stick to the... Then I'm going to take my other snowflake piece, and I'm going to do my best. Is there a front and a back? Yeah, not really. To center it on here. Okay. So that's what that looks like. Now these buttons, or whatever they are, aren't going to move too much, and these round ones are going to stick to the top, but you know what, that's okay. I don't mind. It looks pretty. It's sparkly. All right, so now this is going to go onto here. And now that I've done that, I realize I am going to score this piece one more time. So you know I've got the 1-inch score line. I'm going to add a second score line at 1 1/4. So that means I need to miter again and cut this down. Sometimes when you go fly by the seat of your pants, you change how you do things, which is not a big deal. All right, now I'm going to fold this in So this is the back. I'm going to add a dab of glue here and here, so that'll stay flat. I want it at a right angle. Stay, boy. There, I'm putting my bone folder in just so I can push it down and get it to adhere. Okay, and then I will add some glue. To that, and that will go on here. I'm making sure it's lined up with the side, and there we go. I sort of like it. It looks pretty. It's not as shakery as I wanted because, again, these silver things, every time I use them I say I should never use them because they just are very staticky. But anyhow, that's how it goes. All right, now that we've got that, let it dry a little bit. I'm folding this flap down and adding glue to the flap. And that is going to go. So I'm going to put it here, but you know what I should have done, folks, is scored this piece at a 1/2 and a 1/4 because it's going to be puffy. I guess you could have put it in the center of the page, but I'm just going to put it on the side. Is it too late to score this? No, it's never too late. It's only paper for one thing. For another thing, you can always manipulate where things are. So, I know. I'm going to line that up with the 11. Make sure the top is straight against there. And I'm going to go with 10 3/4. It's only paper. There, that makes me happier. Now this, I'm okay with this being flat, but, so then you'll open this up, you'll open that up, and oh my goodness, it's a shaker. So something a little different. All right, now let's go to 4F. And for 4F, I took the 2 pieces and I put it inside, and this is just going to go with a top flap and a bottom flap. So I am going to grab my scoreboard, and we're going to score. This is 6 by 6.5, and this is 4 3/4 by 6. I'm going to rotate and put the 6.5 inch side at the top and score it a 1/2. And for this top flap, the short side is going to be at the top, and I'm going to score it a 1/2. I'm going to miter both pieces. And fold and burnish on those score lines. And add glue to the top. And burnish the larger pieces on the bottom. That's how I like it. You could do it either way you want. If you want the shorter piece on the bottom, that's okay too. Line it up with the bottom, line it up, make sure it's straight. So the other good thing about using a liquid adhesive is you have time to move. It's not stuck on forever. But if you used a score tape and you messed up, you could put undo or lighter fluid or something on, take it off. Okay, and there we go. And we will add a magnet, or you could add a library style closure. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. I will probably add a magnet here, and I don't like to have opposing magnets unless they're not going to touch. So I'll probably do a magnet here and a magnet there. Okay, now we're going to do the back of page 4. Oh, this one is complicated. It's not scary complicated, it's just complicated. All right, you will need one piece for a mat that is 4 by 6. You will need 2 pieces that are 7 by 5.5. You will need 2 pieces that are 6.5 by, no, you will need one, no, I'm right. You will need 2 pieces that are 6.5 by 4.25. You will need one piece that's 7 by 4.25. And you will need one piece that's 6.5 by 6. So the 6.5 by 6 will score first. Put the 6.5 inch side at the top and score 1/2 inch. The 7 by 4.25, put the long side at the top, score it 1/2 inch and 6.5. The 2 pieces that are 6.5 by 4.25, put the long side at the top and score at 1/2. And finally, the 2 pieces that are 7 by 5.5, you're going to score each of those at 1/2 inch with the short side at the top. So I'm going to fold and measure off camera just to save a little time. All right, let's start with the side flap that's 6.5 by 6. And I'm going to put the tab on the left-hand side and take one of the 6.5 by 4.25 and put adhesive on the 1/2 inch tab. And that's going to go centered on this page on the bottom. Whoops, it's not what I meant to do. And then open that up and center this one. You want it to be even with that last one, and that's going to go up at the top. So I'm making sure the bottom is lined up with that other piece. And I'm about a hair's width above this, maybe a 32nd of an inch. So we've got those. All right, I'm going to grab my book now. And then the next thing I'm going to do is put in the 2 7 by 5.5 pieces. One will go on the right side of the page and one will go on the left side. So I'll justify that over to the right and center it top to bottom. Where's my film folder? There it is. All right, and this will be even with the other one, although there's no reason why you couldn't put one up on the right hand side and one down on the left hand side. All right, we'll open that up, and this little piece that I put the 2 flaps on, I am going to add glue to and put it on the left hand side of the page. a smidgen width in from where the other one was and centered on that. Now I'm finding that this may not fold, so you know what? I know what I meant to do. The piece with the flap, we are going to put on the outside on the left-hand side. So we have that, and then that opens, then this opens, and that opens. That's where I made a boo-boo, but it'll be covered with paper. And I'm going to take the belly band, make sure it's going to fit. I may need to, nope, that'll fit. You may need to add, like, go in 1/8 of an inch and add another score line. I'm okay with this one, so I don't need to, but it's no harm if you need to. You won't see it because it'll be folded on the inside here. So this will go right to that score line. This will go right to that score line. Make sure the pages fold. That one folds, that one folds, this one folds, and we are good. Oops. So there is 4B. And now 5F, I'm going to leave alone because I'm going to put an element down here, a little tuck spot. So I am going to put some beautiful paper on this one and just leave it alone. All right, now we are at the back of page 5, and this one is simple. Oh, there was the mat to go in that belly band. Just stick that. Okay. For 5B, you're going to need 2 pieces that are 4 by 6. And I am going to put the long side at the top on both of these and score at 1/2 inch. I'm going to miter. And fold and burnish, and one of these pieces is going to go on the top, and I'm going to put it sort of 1/2 inch over, just to add a little visual interest, and this will go right on top of that one. And we're done with that. Now we're going to do the inside back cover. So for that you will need 1 piece 7.5 by 4, 1 piece 6.5 by 7. Grab your handy dandy scoreboard, and the 7.5 by 4 you're going to score with the long side at the top, score the short side, rotate, short side at the top, score on the long side and rotate, long side at the top, score on the short side 1/2 inch, and then on this one, oh, 6.5 by 7. Okay, the back cover is 6.5 by 8.5. So I'm going to take the 7-inch side, put it at the top, and score it 1/2 inch. So for this, I'm going to miter. And I am going to grab my corner rounder and round the corners. You're going to ask me where I got this from. I have absolutely no idea where it came from. It doesn't have a name on it. I got it at a garage sale. But any corner rounder will do. All right, I will miter these corners. And fold and burnish. And we'll do our little trick of just doing the bottom of this pocket first. All right, I'm going to put that on there, making sure it's further over to the right than it is to the left because I don't want it to get impinged on the hinge, or actually the fold of the book. And if you find that's a problem, then just cut those pockets just a 1/16 of an inch shorter. I'm going to add some tape here and then add glue to the bottom or the side flaps. Can you see what I'm doing? Partially. And fold that up. And I will add glue to the top flap and put that obviously at the top. And I'm going to go back and do the inside front cover. You'll need a piece of cardstock 9.5 by 3.5 with the short side at the top score on the long side, 1/2 inch. Do the same for the other two short sides. We're going to miter the corners. Fold and burnish. And this is going to be a side pocket. I don't know why I always do the front inside cover last. I always go to page 1 and then do the front inside cover. You could put it on either side. I'm choosing to put it on the left-hand side of this page. And fold and burnish. And that is all the cutting we need to do. And besides the normal decorating, which I don't show you because that video would take too long and people decorate in their own ways, this is what I use to do the little dangle on the side of the mini album. I cut the paper to go on the side, cut the hole in it, and then made a dangle. There are better videos making a dangle than how I do it, but I did use a Tim Holtz fastener brad to put everything all together in it. And for the dangle, I just use things out of my stash. So check that out and go ahead and do whatever you want on the side. But that is part 2 on how I made this mini album. And that is how I made my Winter Wonderland mini album as a design team project for Country Craft Creations. Don't forget to look in the description box for links to the supplies, and feel free to share your pictures on the Facebook group Scrapbookers of Country Craft Creations if you use this mini album. I'd love to see what you make. Thank you again for watching. Have a fabulous day.